thing we need to do is we need to add in a leader path. Okay, and we're going to make that leader kind of move around in a circle. So let's go ahead and let's do that here. So let's add in a function. We'll call this add leader circle path. Pretty good. And we'll say we need to, first of all, this is where life gets a little bit complicated and a little bit math oriented, but if you follow along, it actually looks pretty good. So we're going to say let middle x, and we're going to say this is CG float, is going to be equal to CG rect get mid x self.frame, and we're going to say let middle y CG float CG rect get mid y self.frame. Perfect. And we're going to say let circle path is equal to UI Bezier path. Probably heard of Beziers before, especially if you worked with Photoshop or Illustrator or HTML5. They tend to use that here. All this means is that if you kind of look into a Bezier path, and I'm just going to hop into Illustrator for a second, and we have something from another tutorial, but doesn't matter. I'm just going, this is, you don't need to do this. I just want to show you what it is. So we got a simple line here, and you know, one thing is that sometimes Illustrator actually gives you the yellow and you can't see it. So we have this nice line here. You curve it, that's a Bezier path. So you can move something. Imagine the outline of this. What Xcode does is it allows you to move that, and you can always change the shape of this Bezier path. Okay, so that's essentially what it is, and we now have points here. But what we want to do is simply add in a circle, and you can see that there's a circle here, and there are our paths here. So you can make it elongated or you can make it a simple circle. It is completely up to you. So, okay, there we go. And so we got let middle. So this UI Bezier path, we're going to say round. All right, let's go back here. We'll say round rect here. And we need to say this round rectangle here and the one with the quarter radius. Okay, so we're going to say CG rect make. All right, so we're going to say that this is middle x and middle y with the float of, let's just say 350 by 350. And this corner radius is going to be a CG float. We'll make it 200. Okay, sounds good. Now, we're going to say let follow circle path is equal to skaction.follow path, and we're going to say the path is circle path dot cg path. So that's what we're requiring. We have an offset here. We're going to say this is false. The orient to path is going to be true, and the ns time interval is going to be leader circle speed. So we did have that set up here. Okay, now let's go up to the top here. At least it should be up here. So we have yeah, leader circle speed. So I'm just going to move back down to where we add that in here, and there we go. Okay, next thing we're going to say leader dot run action, and that action is going to be skaction dot repeat action forever, and we're going to say follow circle path. So that's all we're going to do is we're going to add that in here. Now let's go to the leader, and we will say add leader circle path. So let's run this and let's see what goes on here. So let's run it, and there's a few things that should be going on here, and save it. And whenever anything's building, by the way, I usually just save it because sometimes your program can clash here. So that actually looking pretty good. Although the leader here is off center here, it's kind of gone off screen. So what we probably need to do is add in some kind of offset, and I will add in, This offset here, I will say negative 180, and we'll probably make it 150. So let's go ahead and let's add that in here. Let's run it again, and let's see if it's any closer to the center here. Okay, and look at that. That actually looks pretty good. Now, what's cool about this is that you can't touch the leader. Okay, now you can see here I'm trying to move the leader out of the position, but the SK action is forcing it to be in the position. So that is just how SpriteKit works here. And also I can kind of move these collectibles out of the way. We haven't really added in any logic here, but for the most part this leader, yeah, you can see here, is being forced around that path, which is actually kind of nice. So we can talk a little bit more about metaphors, but for now, this is working out pretty well, and I think it actually looks kind of nice. Now, just aside here, all we've done is we've rotated something around a point and spawned a few objects here. Whenever you do anything, you want to make sure that you use the least amount of code to get the most amount. So this actually looks like it's a pretty neat game from a game mechanic point of view, and we haven't really done much. So in my world, less is more, and as if you're trying to be a developer by yourself, I would highly recommend that you adopt that aesthetic too. This includes the tutorial.